right, breaking news. Yes, the BNL, yes, the Biafra Nations League has captured a strategic oil installation as Nigerian government scrambles. All right, good morning, people. Good afternoon, good evening to each and every one of you. Welcome back to Expose News TV. Yes, my people, always here to give you live updates on how things they be. Going into the details without further ado. Yes, the Biafra Nations League has seized control of a major oil installation in the Niger Delta area, region rather. And of course, it's a major severe blow to Nigeria's economic lifeline. The attack took place in the morning as the forces overtook the facility after a brief standoff with the security personnel. My people who say you hear a brief standoff, it was something that was brief and coordinated. It wasn't an anyhow thing that you would wake up to do. Okay, yes, the oil installation, which is one of the largest in the region, accounts for a significant portion of Nigeria's crude oil production and the revenue. The takeover has sent shockwaves. Of course, my people, you would not hear this on the news. You would not hear this anywhere at all because that is what it is. With fears of production disruption and a spike in global oil prices, experts have estimated that the halt in operations at the facility could cost the country millions of dollars in revenue daily. My people, which we know that these millions of dollars in revenue has not been even coming into the country. Things are getting worse. Where is all the money going to? Where is every income that comes into the country going into? My people, it just lets you come to a full-time understanding that everything is a complete waste of time. Even if you were to allow it to keep going, or the production were to keep going, the country would still be wallowing in debt, and that is the truth of the matter. Okay, we continue with without wasting much of your time. It says here that the Nigerian government already grappling with the resignation of the military control and forces. President B.L.A. Tinubu has declared, of course, the Biafra movement, the national threat, and emergency meetings have been held to address the crisis. However, with security forces overwhelmed and demoralized, the government response has so far been limited to issuing threats of retaliation. My people, on a low key, you should just be listening to these things on a low key because the takeover, the full-time takeover for the Biafra independence and freedom is as close as it can be, and I hope that you people are actually taking note and getting ready for it, because at this point we are on the verge of creating something extraordinary. I repeat, something extraordinary that you might not be so surprised at the end, so that you would be in view of this particular movement that is taking place. It says here, of course, it is a big victory for the Biafra movement, and it says that this is just the beginning. Say the spokesperson for the B.L.A. Nigeria's stranglehold on our people and resources will end, and that is the truth of the matter. This is the aim of everything, to make sure that everything comes to an end, because these people have held down everything that sings or wallows close to the movement of the Biafra movement or anything Biafraland resources. They have held it down and have sworn life and death not to allow us move forward on any ground. And that is just the truth of the matter. They have sworn here and there to make sure that things do not work out. My people, we are not on that level of seeking to make things better or smoother. We have gone with dialogue for the longest of times and it has not worked out. My people, it is time to go towards the way that would make everybody shiver. with everything that is happening, and that is just the truth of the matter. And hopefully we will get the desired response that we need. We will get the response that we need, because even at this point we are making moves. We are making big moves, and we are going to actually succeed in everything we are doing. Okay, my people, the next set of things you'll be hearing is and will be the movement upgrades, and the PM are making a full-time broadcast on everything that concerns the movement. All right, be very careful to listen attentively and enjoy. Thank you.
Movement of Biafra, TGB, immediately after liberation of Biafra from Nigeria. Again. Now, to constitute a transitional government of Biafra known as TGB immediately after liberation of Biafra from Nigeria for a specified and finite duration not to exceed 4 years. My people, I want you to reason today. If today happens to be the only day you can reason, please utilize today to reason, because what Nigeria has come to do is to destroy us completely. After the arrest of our prime minister, Nigeria came to destroy us within. So I want you to reason. Follow this very, lecture very well. I want you to leave every other thing you are doing and focus, because I may not be able to do this again. I am not here for saga, so I may not be able to do this again. This may be only one time that I'll have time to do this. Pay attention, my wonderful people of Biafra. Now, let's take that again. To constitute a transitional government of Biafra, which PM had already said based on the conversation that I played for you before coming here, before coming to the Biafra Charter, from PM direct. To constitute a transitional government of Biafra known as TGB immediately after liberation of Biafra. Immediately after liberation of Biafra, not immediately after declaration in Finland. We are still in exile. In case you don't know, don't let anybody confuse you. We are still in exile. And I don't want to talk first. Let me finish reading, then I'll talk. Now, immediately after liberation of Biafra from Nigeria for a specified and infinite duration not to exceed 4 years. Pending the formalization of Biafra state structures, post-occupation and post-liberation. Onana nuku oyibo ko ono cholo kana translate ya n'Igbo. Omu banye, omu Biafra, the Biafran people. Do you people understand it? Do you people understand it, or you want me to translate it in Igbo language? Let me take that again. It says, immediately after liberation of Biafra from Nigeria for a specified and infinite duration not to exceed 4 years, pending the formalization of Biafra state. Listen, the formalization of Biafran state structures, post-occupation and post-liberation. Everything, before we even talk about anything, we are going to first of all liberate ourselves from Nigeria, and this transitional government is post-occupation and post-liberation, post-occupation of Nigeria in Biafra territory, and post-liberation after we must have, evicted Nigeria from Biafra and liberate ourselves from Nigeria. Then we begin to talk about transitional government. We haven't even come to BLGIE. We haven't come to. I want you to follow. Borrow ear this evening. Borrow ear this evening. I know the reason I said that. Not for insult. I know the reason I said that. Now, to secure Biafra people and its territory, the Biafra Republic government in exile has formed and deployed the Biafra Liberation Army, B.L.A., Biafra Resistance Fighters, BRF, and Biafra Air Force, Biafra Navy, the Black Marines, and the Dragon Fighters Marine. Structures of BDFG. The Biafra de facto government shall consist of two arms. Now, Ugo Ebelugonambawu, and I want everybody to listen. Ugo Ebelugonambawu. Now, the functions of BDFG, Biafra de facto government in the homeland. Now, the Biafra de facto government shall consist of two arms. A Biafra Republic government in exile, B.L.A, which is number one, based outside of Biafra. Remember, the Biafra government consists two arms. Number one is B.L.A, which is based outside of Biafra. And number two, a Biafra government within Biafra, to be known as Biafra Republic government in the homeland, known as BLGH. Biafra Republic government in the homeland. Now, both arms shall function in tight coordination and in harmony with the B.L.A in the apex role. The B.L.A will be in the apex role, which is Biafra Republic government in exile, will be in the apex role, because every decision and things we will be doing will come from B.L.A down to de facto in the homeland. Right? Now let's continue. Functions of BDFG. The sole function of Biafra Republic government in exile and Biafra de facto government is to carry out the mandate of the Biafra de facto government as stated in the Biafra Charter authorization. BLGIE shall respect laws of host communities in furtherance of this mandate. BLGIE shall respect international laws dealing with self-determination and protection of human rights and rely in particular on the Geneva Conventions Protocol 2. BDFG, Biafra de facto government in homeland will work with our peoples at home. Will work with our peoples at home in Biafra territory and in Nigeria
has remained adamant that he probably is not going to allow this. He said the unity of Nigeria is non-negotiable. That clearly indicates that he's not going to relent in his push to silence any voice of dissenting as far as that position is concerned. So which way forward to heal the divide between or amongst the Nigerians, especially on Biafra crisis?
I think the best thing is to ask them what they want. I remember one time Professor Wole Soyinka said, if we can continue fighting Biafrans for such a long time, it's not long before we go to war, which is actually happening right now. Why don't we ask them what they want? And for sure they have voiced and they have said it, that they want referendum. Why? Because for a long time, they do not have a mutual understanding with the rest of the Nigeria nation. They are not understood. They are marginalized for such a long time. They are not wanted by the rest of the Nigerian government. So the best thing is to take them to a referendum so that we know exactly what they want and separate them if that is exactly what they want. Why? Because if we continue like this, these are crises not only in Nigeria, but it will have a ripple effect to the bordering countries. And with time, it will have a big effect to the African countries. As I'm talking, Africa has the largest immigrants to the world. It has the largest refugees to the rest of the continents. Why is that so? It's because of such crises that we can see in Biafra and Amazonia and other countries like Sudan. So I think before we even move forward, it's very important that we give or they're given referendum. From there, they can be able to sort out the rest of the challenges. And it's quite unfortunate because we have diplomatic missions in Nigeria. Why can't they take that issue with them and sort it out? Why are they quiet? Why is the world quiet when Biafrans are suffering? Why is the world quiet when we know very well that such issues can affect the whole of the African continent? It's quite sad, and that's why as Punchline Africa TV will continue talking to the world and saying that these people need a referendum. They're not needed. If you don't need me in your space, give me what I want so that I can self-govern myself, which I think it's a good way and a diplomatic way of allowing people to go their way.
That would be cool. Coupled with that, I would like you to approach it from a different angle altogether. What probably could have informed this agitation for, of course, separation, for a referendum to go separate ways between, of course, Nigeria and the people of Biafra? Let's approach it from that angle, as you and ask ourselves, what probably can we do to see into it that we find a healing in this divide?
Yeah, I think it's paramount to understand that for starters, there was no redemption, and the word you just used, healing, from the first Biafran crisis in 1967, to the 3 years fighting. And if you remember very well, there was a brief period where they got their independence, and then the Nigerian military decided to send all the planes to just bomb indiscriminately anybody who was found in that region. And those scars are passed on in what is called transgenerational trauma. You don't even have to tell your child about this. It's the same thing that affects most African countries. You don't really need to tell your child, hate this person or hate this person, but the way you behave and the way you talk about these things and the tone with which you use, your children pick that, and then they grow up with that. They send it to their children and their children's children, and each generation comes forth understanding their history and knowing very well that we are the people who have been marginalized in a country where we are one of the most, we are creating profit. We're bringing GDP, one of the highest rates of GDP. We're bringing the largest group of intelligent people. We're bringing the largest group of talented people. And yet we are the people who are not benefiting from all this. And this crisis goes on in most of the countries that we are finding, in the African continent with protests currently like Amazonia and Ethiopia. If you bring in another angle of...
All right, please let me know if my voice is coming out clear now. Please let me know so we can continue. Very, very important. Let me know. If you can hear me, please let me know in the comment section, my wonderful people of Biafra and, of course, lovers of freedom. Can you hear me? The very moment we went into the main point that has brought us here today, boom. Boom. Osetia. The very moment. Because that very chapter or should I say page, that very page 27 was the straw that breaks the camel's back. That page 27, once I'm done with that page 27 this evening, those of you who have been confused all this while, we know your stand. Those of you who didn't know where you stand will definitely come to realization, will definitely know your stand. Once I'm done with the page 27, which I'm bringing back now, you all will know where you stand. So relax, calm down. One thing I will assure you, one thing I will promise you is that, listen, because I did not listen to any of them, any of these two groups fighting, I didn't listen to their personal and individual conversations. I wanted a meeting. I called for a meeting. They disappointed me. They all disappointed me. So I have to go and follow the Biafra law. Because we have a law already. We already have a law which all of them. Somebody say, please go back to page 26. Okay, fine. I will start from the ending part of page 20. Maybe that is where my voice, maybe I don't know if it was an attack or what. And I also want to use this opportunity to announce that we are no longer. In fact, let me keep that one for now. We will get there later. We'll get there later. So I'm bringing it back to the screen. I am not in any way following anybody. Right? I am showing you where our Prime Minister stands. And wherever our Prime Minister stands, that is where I stand. And our Prime Minister cannot enact law and do otherwise. Something that has been signed into law of Biafra, which they all joined together to sign. Which all of them joined together and signed into law in Finland during the convention. So, in as much as that is where our Prime Minister stands, then I will have no problem standing there at the same time. Now, I'm going to continue with the ending part of the page 26 because someone has already asked me to go back to page 26. Probably that is where my voice stopped, coming out. Can you hear me? Please let me know in the comment section so that we'll continue immediately without wasting any further time. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, please? If my voice is coming out clear, let me know now so we continue. Very, very important. All right. So we'll continue now. Let us continue. Now, functions of BDFG. The sole function of Biafra Republic Government in Exile and Biafra de facto government is to carry out the mandate of the Biafra de facto government as stated in the Biafra Charter Authorization. BLGIE shall respect laws of host communities in furtherance of this mandate. BLGIE shall respect international laws dealing with self-determination and protection of human rights and rely in particular on the Geneva Convention's Protocol 2. BDFG will work with our peoples at home in Biafra territory and in Nigeria, cognizant of the state of Nigeria's occupational forces foisted over our people, to keep alive and project Biafra's sovereignty and independence in accordance with the mandate and to mobilize. Now, pay attention. I want you to remember here because we are going into the next page. And to mobilize, right? To mobilize and do what again? Or one day about this evening. After this broadcast, now, and to mobilize from the other page. Now, this is page 27. Organize and manage our people for socio-political activism in order to carry out our resolve for self-determination. Now listen and listen very, very attentively, my Biafran people. At all times, the functions of B.L.A and B.L.G.H, Biafra Republic Government in Homeland, are to be well coordinated. Harmonious, complementary, and seamless. Following the liberation of Biafra from Nigeria, the Biafra de facto government. Oh, now, this is where we are now. It says, following the liberation of Biafra from Nigeria, the Biafra de facto government consisting of B.L.G.I.E and B.L.G.H together shall form the nucleus of the transitional government of Biafra. Oh, should I explain it? Do you want me to explain it in Igbo language so that you will understand it? Following the liberation of Biafra from Nigeria. It did not say following the redeclaration of Biafra in Finland. It said following the liberation of Biafra from Nigeria, the liberation, following the liberation of Biafra from Nigeria, the Biafra de facto government, consisting of B.L.G.I.E and B.L.G.H together, B.L.G.I.E meaning Biafra Republic Government in exile, and B.L.G.H, Biafra Republic Government in homeland, together shall form the nucleus of transitional government of Biafra, which is exactly what the Prime Minister talked about. The conversation, the broadcast that I played for you before we entered into this very Biafra charter, where I will still play it again for you if you want, where our Prime Minister talked about transitional government. When the recognition starts coming in, I hope you outline that. I hope you remember that. Now, this very Biafra charter, the Biafran law, says the Biafra Republic Government in exile and Biafra Republic Government in the homeland together shall form the nucleus of transitional government of Biafra. And remember, it says here, following the liberation of Biafra from Nigeria. Don't let these words confuse you. Following the liberation of Biafra from Nigeria. It never said following the declaration of Biafra in Finland. Following the liberation of Biafra from Nigeria, the Biafra de facto government consisting B.L.G.I and B.L.G.H together shall form the nucleus of the transitional government of Biafra. Do you know what it means? B.L.G.I, Biafra Republic Government in exile, together, when you all in exile must have come back home with all your offices. You have come, minister of this, minister of that, all of you will come back home after the liberation of Biafra, when the United Nations must have recognized our existence as a nation and our flag hosted high at the United Nations Geneva. Our flag hosted high, flying high in Geneva, United Nations. Then all of you who are serving under the Biafra Republic Government in exile will come back home with joy and gladness. Now meet all of us who are